once a time you discovered a family secret that completely changed your perspective.
Make sure to like and subscribe for more stories like this. This guy at the bookstore knew my grandma's name, and she died 5 years ago. He just mentioned it casually while recommending a Dickens novel. Said, "Your grandmother had excellent taste. She loved this author." I brushed it off as a coincidence. Lots of people like Dickens. But then, a week later, he asked about my scholarship application. He knew I was applying for the Evelyn Reed Memorial Scholarship, a scholarship my grandma helped establish. It started to feel deliberate. He dropped these little comments, things only someone who knew my family history would know. Like remembering a specific detail about my grandpa's woodworking hobby, how he always used cherry wood for his birdhouses. I'd try to play it cool, just smile and nod, but inside I was getting this creeping feeling like I was being watched, studied. I started avoiding his aisle, pretending I was only interested in graphic novels, anything to escape those knowing eyes. But he'd always seemed to be there, rearranging the classics, somehow always in my peripheral vision. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted him, asked him how he knew all this, my voice shaking a little, trying to sound tougher than I felt. He just smiled sadly, a really gentle, almost mournful smile, and said, "Sometimes the past has a way of catching up." He reached under the counter and handed me a faded photograph. My grandma, younger, laughing with a man I'd never seen before, both holding blueprints, a workshop in the background. It was a picture I'd never seen before, and the man, he had the same tweed jacket, the same quiet eyes as the bookstore guy. Turns out, he was my grandpa's estranged brother, disowned decades ago for financial reasons, and he'd been secretly funding my grandma's scholarship all along. Been watching over my family from afar, making sure they were okay. A silent guardian angel fueled by guilt and a love he couldn't openly express. So I got the scholarship, but I also learned my family was a lot messier than I thought. The photograph felt brittle in my hands, the edges softened with age and countless folds. I turned it over, searching for a clue, a name, anything to make sense of this sudden, bewildering revelation. There was a handwritten inscription on the back, in elegant cursive. "To Evelyn with enduring gratitude, Silas." Silas, the bookstore guy's name. It clicked, a slow, unsettling realization spreading through me. He hadn't just known my grandma, he'd been intimately connected to her life, a shadow lurking just beyond the periphery of my family's carefully constructed narrative. I looked back at him, a question forming on my lips, but he simply shook his head. Subtle gesture that conveyed volumes. He didn't offer explanations, didn't try to unravel the decades of silence and resentment that had clearly defined his relationship with my grandfather. Instead, he gestured towards a small, leather-bound journal tucked away on a lower shelf. "Read this," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "It's his. It explains everything." Hesitantly, I picked up the journal. The paper was yellowed and fragile, the ink faded but legible. It was Silas's handwriting, meticulous and precise, detailing a story of youthful ambition, a disastrous business venture, and a desperate attempt to salvage his family's reputation, and crucially to support Evelyn. He wrote of a fierce argument with my grandfather, a betrayal that led to his banishment, a wound that never truly healed. The details were heartbreaking, a portrait of a man consumed by regret and a stubborn refusal to accept his fate. As I read, chilling pattern emerged. Silas hadn't just funded the scholarship, he'd subtly influenced its parameters, ensuring it favored students with a passion for the arts, a field my grandmother had always championed. He'd even anonymously provided research materials, quietly guiding the selection process. It was a testament to his enduring love, a way of compensating for the years of estrangement. He paused, closing the journal with a soft thud. "Your grandfather, he was a proud man," he said, his gaze distant. Stubborn, he couldn't forgive what he perceived as a betrayal, even when it was clear he was the one who had acted unjustly. A flicker of sadness crossed his face, quickly masked by a stoic expression. He never understood that sometimes love takes forms beyond words, beyond acceptance. I flipped through the last few pages, finding a sketch, a detailed blueprint for a small, intricate birdhouse, identical to the ones my grandfather used to build. Beneath it, a single, poignant sentence, a reminder of simpler times, a symbol of enduring hope. It was a final, heartbreaking gesture, a silent plea for reconciliation that would never be answered. I looked up at the bookstore guy, a profound sense of understanding washing over me. He wasn't just a bookseller, he was a keeper of secrets, a silent witness to a family's hidden history. So I got the scholarship, but I also learned my family was a lot messier than I thought.